Hi, I'm Mill and I'm from Learning Media Limited, and I'd like to introduce you to the Indigenous Discovery Big Book series that takes students and teachers on a rhyming journey to meet amazing land and sea animals and essential early concepts of colours, numbers and shapes, all brought to life through the stunning artwork by Darug artist Leanne Mulgo Watson. The titles in the Indigenous Discovery book series have been developed to help students build confidence with early learning concepts such as shapes, colours, numbers and animals, while simultaneously increasing their awareness of and exposure to Indigenous artworks from an early age. The engaging rhyming text by Emily Bruce supports early language skills such as vocabulary building, and the interactive relationship between the text and the gorgeous full colour illustrations promotes key visual literacy skills. The big book format makes these titles perfect for an enriching shared reading experience that students will cherish. When developing this Indigenous Big Book series, we intentionally created it for the education market for students aged between the foundation, Year 1 and Year 2 groups. Our idea was to expose students to local Indigenous artworks through a sense of story and playful fun. Celebrating visual literacy and Indigenous art was the first idea, and in addition to this, we wanted to utilise these multiple purpose big books across subject areas to make it easier for primary teachers who often need to use cross-curricular text to help support the teaching of outcomes across multiple disciplines. Regarding originality, the main point of difference is the big book's size and format. So they're 300mm by 420mm. And this particular series of early concepts is for foundation or kindergarten, Year 1 and Year 2 students to enjoy. The series ideas span across a variety of subject areas, making it multi-purpose. So the subjects could include, but obviously not are limited to, the subject of English, your literacy groups, mathematics, science, your STEM or STEAM lessons, art, and of course library. Students can make real-world connections from the text regarding Australian flora and fauna in Indigenous cultures and the early concepts of shapes, colours, numbers, and Australian animals and landscapes. These ideas then become a platform to introduce further questions and investigations into further disciplines. The rhyming text can be used to promote patterns in both spoken and written language. Students will be able to broaden their bank of Australian flora and fauna vocabulary. Also, please note the inside back cover of each of the big books. In 4 out of the 5 texts, Leanne Mulgo Watson introduces some Darug language from her Aboriginal community. For example, the comment that the artist makes in our book Under the Sea. My favourite illustration in this book is the gawurra, which is whale, because I love how the gawurra sing. On the inside back cover of the big book colours, Watson describes a childhood experience and memory. Uluru is my favourite illustration in this book. It is a place I visited as a child many times. I love it. It also smells really beautiful with all the flowers that grow there. Now this of course could then lead to further discussion of Australian landscapes or students' own visits to Uluru or other holiday destinations around Australia, or the Darug language in particular, or their own Aboriginal community language in their region. Now let's talk about Australian animals and look how attractive and vibrant the colours are to attract our young audience, and the written text takes the learners on a rhyming journey. Leanne Mulgo Watson, her Indigenous artwork, we have koala, emu, kangaroo, echidna, cockatoo, kookaburra, quokka, platypus, possum, wombat, bilby and turtle. And of course they're aimed at the younger primary school audience. And the characters are super cute and colourful, and each are connected through the Indigenous dot symbolism in the painting from Watson. The rhyming text takes learners on a journey with these Australian animals. The written text starts with a cute koala snoozing in the sun and finishes with a sleepy turtle. And each page or double page spread includes a single sentence And the rhyming text not only engages learners, but it also stimulates students to read the text. Now, the next one we're going to have a look at is called Colours. Again, each double-page spread introduces a new colour. And on these pages, there are multiple hues and brightnesses used to represent them. There are many variations, of course, of one colour. Students and their teachers are taken on a journey through all the colours of the rainbow, from the orange sunrise to the red desert dunes and the vast blue ocean. Multiple settings are introduced to engage students: Uluru, underground burrows, grasslands, and the ocean. A mix of flora is represented in gum trees, grasses, coral, and the jacaranda tree. Australian animals are utilised throughout the whole series, and the representations connect to the other big books within the series, where we've got the cockatoo, the blue whale, the snapperfish, wombat, bats, and the bilby. A discussion around weather can also be used to engage learners, as clear days and nights, intense sunrises, rain, and rainbows are depicted in colours. Students can be engaged through colour, rhyming text, and the idea of further enriching discussions across disciplines to support the early concepts with this big book. Then we move across to shapes, and students can find multiple representations of shapes within each page. And this is a great way, of course, to engage and stimulate young learners from our primary school student audience. Now, these shapes are introduced in the text and they're accessible to students, and they include rectangles, circles, stars, squares, triangles, diamonds, ovals, hearts, and their knowledge can be extended with the semicircle, the hexagon, and the pentagon. Gumnut imagery and eucalyptus leaves allow the connection within the series as well, along with some repetition of animal artworks across the texts. Then we move across to numbers. Now, teachers and students can engage with the numbers 1 through to 12. And within this big book, Australian animals are represented along with a number and the written text to introduce language patterns and new vocabulary. By the term new vocabulary, we're meaning words that are not on the high frequency word lists. For example, the words or the phrase diamond python and the alliterative phrase slithers softly by. And now these allow for vocab introduction and discussion, of course. Students are invited to interact with the text and to count the thirsty magpies or the greedy galahs, the dancing brolgas, and many more. Engagement is stimulated through the interaction with the book, through the students counting the different Australian animals and flora. Now, our next one, and last but not least, is called Under the Sea. And this stunning artwork, again by Leanne Mulgo Watson, brings Under the Sea to life and engages students through the bright Indigenous art and underwater creatures. The big book is brimming with colourful coral, glistening jellyfish, hungry turtles, we've got dolphins, dugong, manta rays, octopus, and great white sharks, and much more. Now, this may be one of a few times that students have been introduced to manta rays and dugongs, and then they would benefit from this experience, in which this may lead to further class investigation into sea creatures and animals. The interactive relationship between the text and the full colour artworks within this whole series promotes key visual literacy skills. That's why we believe the Indigenous Big Book Discovery series is the winner for this year for the early years. Thank you.